The diplomatic station called Confluence floated in the darkness of space like a giant silver flower. It was the year 2187, and humanity had finally earned its place among the stars. The station orbited a small moon named Talaxis 7, and it was home to diplomats, scientists, and workers from 47 different alien worlds. Hana walked through the busy corridors of the station, her tablet pressed against her chest. She was 26 years old, with short black hair and tired eyes. Her job as a cultural liaison officer meant she spent most of her days explaining human behavior to confused aliens. It was exhausting work, but she loved it. On the other side of the station, Taemin sat in his laboratory, studying samples of alien plant life under a microscope. He was 28, tall and quiet, with the kind of face that looked serious even when he was happy. As a xenobiologist, his job was to understand how alien life worked. He had been on the station for 2 years now, and he still found every day fascinating. Neither of them knew that today would change everything. The reception hall was decorated with floating lights and holographic flowers. 200 delegates from across the galaxy had gathered for the annual Unity Festival, a celebration of interspecies cooperation. Humans were still new to this world of galactic politics, but they had proven themselves during the Kepler uprising 3 years ago. When 3 alien species faced extinction, it was human stubbornness and creativity that saved them. Hana stood near a display of cultural artifacts, making polite conversation with a delegate from the Morvian system. Smile, nod, explain that humans do not actually eat their young, and move on to the next confused alien. The Valerian display caught her attention. The Valerians were beautiful creatures, tall and thin with feathers that changed color based on their emotions. They had powerful minds that could sense feelings in others. On their table sat a small golden device that looked like a music box. Hana leaned closer to read the information card. Harmony Resonator, it said, used in ancient Valerian bonding ceremonies to align emotional frequencies between partners. She reached out to examine it more closely. Her finger brushed against a small button on the side. The device activated. A sound filled the reception hall. It was not loud, but it went through Hana like electricity. Every emotion she had ever pushed down, every feeling she had ignored, every thought she had hidden suddenly rushed to the surface at once. She felt joy and sadness and fear and hope all at the same time. Her heart beat fast, her skin grew hot, and her face turned red. Not just a little red. Her entire face became the color of ripe cherries. The conversations around her stopped. 200 pairs of alien eyes turned to look at the human woman whose face was glowing like a warning light. What is happening to her? A Morvian delegate asked, genuinely worried. Is she dying? Another voice called out. Hana wanted to disappear. She wanted the floor to open up and swallow her whole. But instead, she just stood there, her face burning, unable to move. Across the room, Taemin saw the commotion. He saw Hana standing frozen near the Valerian display, her face an alarming shade of red. Without thinking, he pushed through the crowd, knocking aside a surprised delegate and nearly tripping over a serving robot. Everyone, please step back, he said, his voice calm but firm. He reached Hana and placed a hand on her shoulder. It's okay. You're okay. Hana looked at him with wide, panicked eyes. My face won't stop, she whispered. Taemin examined the device she had touched. He recognized it from his studies on Valerian biology. His mind quickly put the pieces together. The harmonic resonator, he explained to the crowd, creates emotional feedback loops. It was designed for Valerian neurology. Human brains process emotions differently. Her body is having a physical reaction to the forced emotional stimulation. A Valerian elder approached, her feathers shifting from gold to concerned purple. This has never happened before. We did not know humans would react this way. How long will it last? Hana asked, her voice small. The Valerian medical team arrived within minutes. They scanned Hana with devices that hummed and beeped. After much discussion in their musical language, The lead doctor turned to her with an apologetic expression. "Your human nervous system has been temporarily changed," the doctor explained. "The blood vessels in your face have been told to stay open. This will continue for several days, until the effect wears off naturally." "Days?" Hana repeated. "We are sorry. There is no treatment. Your species has never been exposed to this device before. We had no data." Hana wanted to cry, but she was afraid that would somehow make the blushing worse. She looked at Taemin, who had stayed by her side through the entire examination. "Several days," she said flatly. "I am going to look like a tomato for several days. Tomatoes are very useful," Taemin said seriously. Then he smiled. "And they are considered beautiful in many cultures. Despite everything." Hana almost laughed. By the next morning, Hana had become famous. News of the blushing human spread across the station like fire. Alien scientists sent requests to study her. Reporters from the Galactic News Network asked for interviews. Children from the station's school sent drawings of red-faced humans with hearts around them. Hana stayed in her quarters, but she could not hide forever. Her job required her to attend meetings, to represent humanity. So she walked through the corridors with her burning red face held high, pretending she did not notice the stares and whispers. Taemin found himself checking on her more than necessary. He told himself it was scientific curiosity. The effect of Valerian technology on human physiology was genuinely interesting, but he also brought her favorite tea without being asked, and he chased away the more annoying researchers who wanted to scan her face. Neither of them noticed the young Valerian who watched them from the shadows. Her name was Liz, and she was the one who had built the modified resonator. She was 17 in Valerian years, a genius by any measure, and deeply troubled by what her invention had caused. But as she watched the two humans interact, something else caught her attention. Her telepathic senses could feel the emotions flowing between them. There was something there, something neither human seemed to recognize. Liz pulled out her datapad and began taking notes. Perhaps she could not undo the damage she had caused, but perhaps she could turn it into something wonderful. She just needed to study them a little more closely. 3 days had passed since the incident, and Hana's face was still red. Not as bright as before, but still noticeably, undeniably, red. She had learned to ignore the stares. She had learned to answer the same questions over and over. Yes, she was fine. No, it did not hurt. Yes, humans did this sometimes, but usually not for this long. The strangest part was how the aliens reacted. They were not making fun of her. They were fascinated. "Your body betrays your emotions without your permission," a Morvian scientist told her during a meeting. "This is remarkable. My species can hide anything we feel. We considered this an advantage. But now I wonder if we have lost something important." Hana did not know what to say to that. She had spent her whole life trying to control her expressions, to keep her feelings hidden when necessary. The idea that her emotional transparency might be valuable had never occurred to her. Taemin continued to appear wherever she was. At first, she thought it was coincidence. Then she noticed he always seemed to have a reason. He needed to ask her about a translation. He was going the same direction. He wanted her opinion on some research. "You don't have to keep checking on me," she told him on the 3rd day. "I'm not checking on you," he said. "I'm conducting ongoing observation of an unprecedented biological phenomenon." "You're a terrible liar." "I know." He smiled. "But the observation part is also true. Your case is genuinely interesting. From a scientific perspective. We've he 17's time. We've see this hauled about. Also for problem." Hana found that she did not mind his company. Taemin was calm and steady. He treated her the same way he had before the incident, like a colleague and an equal. In a station full of aliens who saw her as a curiosity that felt valuable. What neither of them knew was that they were being watched. Liz followed them through the corridors, keeping her distance. She had developed a system. When Taemin went to the laboratory, she observed from the ventilation shaft above. When Hana attended meetings, Liz listened through the communication channels. At meals, she sat 3 tables away, pretending to read. Her datapad was filled with notes. Day 3. Observation 7. Male human brought female human a warm drink without being asked. Female human smiled. Her face became redder for 2.3 seconds. Male human looked away quickly. 1. Neither acknowledged this exchange verbally. Hypothesis. Humans communicate significant emotional information through actions rather than words. Endom. Working CD Aun. Day 3. Observation 12. Both humans reached for the same datapad. Their hands touched for 0.8 seconds. Both pulled back immediately. Male human apologized. Female human said it was fine. They did not make eye contact for the next 4 minutes. Hypothesis. Physical contact carries strong emotional weight for humans. Even brief accidental contact. Liz was confused and fascinated. In Valerian culture, when 2 people had feelings for each other, they simply acknowledged it. Their telepathic abilities made hiding emotions pointless. A Valerian could sense attraction as easily as they could sense temperature. But these humans seemed completely unaware of what was obvious to everyone else on the station. Liz was not the only one who noticed. The station had started taking bets. 50 credits on end of the week, a Morvian trader said in the common area. You're too optimistic, his Kalari companion replied. Humans are dense. I say 2 months. I heard from a reliable source that the male human has been asking about human courtship rituals in the database. A third voice added. Something about appropriate gift-giving customs. The news spread. Soon, half the station was invested in the outcome of something Tae-min and Hana did not even know was happening. Liz decided to help things along. She started small. A scheduling error that put them both in the same meeting room at the same time. A broken transport tube that forced them to walk together through the botanical section. A misdelivered message that sent Tae-min to Hana's quarters with a package that was actually meant for someone else. Each time, she watched and took notes. Each time, she saw the same pattern. They would talk easily, laugh sometimes, share comfortable silences. But whenever the conversation drifted toward anything personal, one of them would change the subject. It was maddening. Why do they resist? Liz asked her mentor, an older Valarian named Sen. They clearly have feelings. Why not simply say so? Sen's feathers shifted to a patient blue. Humans are young to the galaxy. Their emotional development took a different path than ours. They bond through time and experience, not through immediate recognition. That seems inefficient, perhaps. Or perhaps it creates stronger bonds. Sen paused. I have observed human partnerships that have lasted decades. They choose each other every day, not just once. There is something beautiful in that. Liz considered this. In her culture, bonds were formed and then maintained through biological and telepathic connection. The idea of choosing someone repeatedly, of actively deciding to stay together, was strange. But as she watched Tae-min bring Hana lunch because she had forgotten to eat, as she saw Hana defend Tae-min's research to skeptical delegates, she began to understand. These humans were already bonding. They just did not know it yet. On the 4th day, Hana's face finally began to return to normal. The redness faded from cherry to pink to something close to her natural color. She could walk through the station without everyone staring. She should have been relieved. Instead, she felt oddly sad. I suppose you won't need to observe me anymore, she said to Tae-min that evening. They were sitting in the observation deck, watching ships come and go from the station. I suppose not, he agreed. But he did not leave. They sat in silence for a while. The stars outside were beautiful, countless points of light against the black emptiness of space. Thank you, Hana said finally, for staying with me through all of this. You didn't have to. I wanted to, Tae-min said. The words came out before he could stop them. Hana looked at him. For a moment, something passed between them. Something unspoken but understood. Then Tae-min's communicator beeped. A message from his laboratory. An urgent matter. With his research. I should go, he said, standing up. Of course. He walked away. Hannah watched him go. She told herself she was not disappointed. In the shadows, Liz made another note in her data pad. Day 4. Observation 23. Moment of potential emotional breakthrough interrupted by external factors. Both humans appeared frustrated, but did not verbalize this. Hypothesis. Humans need help completing their bonding process. Action plan, required. End quote. End quote. She closed her datapad and smiled. She knew exactly what she needed to do. The Harmony Sphere in Research Section 7 had been empty for months. It was designed for studying how different species adapted to prolonged, close contact. It had food, water, comfortable accommodations, and most importantly, it would not open until its sensors detected emotional equilibrium between its occupants. Liz had already begun modifying its programming. If these humans would not bond on their own, she would give them no choice. The message arrived at the same time on both their communicators. Research Section 7, Harmony Sphere Lab, urgent consultation required. The sender was listed as the Station Science Committee. Taemin arrived first. The Harmony Sphere was an impressive structure, a large transparent dome about 10 meters across. Inside, he could see comfortable furniture, a small kitchen area, and a bed. Through the curved walls, the stars were visible in every direction. Hello, he called out. The lab seemed empty. Hannah arrived a minute later. Did you get the message too? What's this about? I'm not sure. Nobody's here. They both stepped inside the sphere to look around. Taemin tried to open it. It did not move. That's strange, he said, pressing the release button again. Nothing happened. A holographic screen appeared in the center of the sphere. On it was Liz, her feathers a nervous shade of yellow. I am sorry, she said. But this is necessary. Liz? Hannah recognized her. You're the one who built the resonator. The one that made me blush. Yes. And I am the one who locked you in here. Liz's image flickered slightly. This sphere will not open until its sensors detect emotional equilibrium between you. I have modified the programming to require a specific type of equilibrium. The type that humans achieve when they finally acknowledge their feelings for each other. Taemin stared at the screen. You cannot be serious. I am very serious. I have observed you both for days. You have feelings for each other. Everyone on the station knows this. Everyone. Except you. Liz's feathers shifted to determined purple. In my culture, denying a bond like yours would be considered a tragedy. I am simply helping you avoid this tragedy. By locking us in a cage? Hannah's voice was sharp. It is a very comfortable cage. There is food and water for 1 week. The temperature is perfect. The view is beautiful. Liz paused. I have calculated that you will achieve the required emotional state within 3 days. Perhaps sooner, if you stop being so stubborn. The screen went dark. For a long moment, neither human spoke. Then, Taemin sat down heavily on one of the chairs. Well, he said. This is not how I expected my day to go. Hannah was still standing by the door, pressing buttons that did nothing. There has to be an override. A safety release. If Liz modified the programming, she probably disabled those too. She's brilliant, even if she's also completely insane. Hannah gave up on the door and sat down across from him. The sphere suddenly felt very small. What do we do? She asked. I suppose we wait. When we don't show up for our duties, someone will notice. The station commander will investigate. They'll get us out. But hours passed, and no rescue came. What they did not know was that Liz had planned for this too. She had sent messages from both their accounts, explaining they were taking voluntary leave to recover from the stress of the resonator incident. The messages were convincing. Nobody questioned them. Outside the sphere, the station continued its normal routine. Inside, Taemin and Hannah realized they were truly stuck. She's not wrong, you know, Hannah said suddenly. It was evening now, or what passed for evening on a space station. The lights in the sphere had dimmed automatically. About what? About everyone on the station knowing. Hana looked at her hands. I overheard some Kelari taking bets on us. Apparently we're obvious. Taemin was quiet for a moment. Obvious about what? Exactly? Taemin. Hana finally looked at him. You know what? The silence stretched between them. Outside the sphere, a transport ship passed by, its lights blinking in the darkness. I became a xenobiologist because I believe understanding is more important than power, Taemin said. His voice was softer than usual. When I was young, I read about the first contact between humans and aliens. Everyone was afraid. They thought it would end in war. But instead, we learned from each other. We grew. He paused. Hana listened without interrupting. This was more than Taemin usually shared about himself. When I saw you at that reception, with your face turning red and 200 aliens staring at you, I was terrified, he continued. Not because of the medical situation, because I thought you might be hurt. And I couldn't stand that thought. And I didn't understand why I felt that way. Not really. We'd barely spoken before. I remember, Hana said quietly. You ran across the whole room. You knocked over a Morvian delegate. He was fine. I apologized later. Despite everything, Hana smiled. I took this job because I thought human empathy could change things. Everyone says aliens are so different from us that we can never really understand each other, but that's not true. We feel things. They feel things. The feelings might look different, but they're real. She stood up and walked to the curved wall of the sphere. Stars filled her vision. When I was blushing for those 3 days, unable to hide anything I felt, I learned something. I learned that transparency isn't weakness. I was so embarrassed, so exposed, but the aliens didn't think less of me. They were fascinated. They respected it. She turned back to Taemin. And you never made me feel ashamed. Not once. Taemin stood up too. He walked over to stand beside her. When I came to the station, I thought I would spend my life studying alien biology. I didn't expect to find someone who sees the universe the way I do. He hesitated. I didn't expect to find you. Hana's heart was beating fast. She could feel her face growing warm. After 4 days of constant blushing, she recognized the feeling immediately. I think I might be blushing again, she said. Taemin looked at her. In the dim light of the stars, her cheeks were definitely pink. Good, he said. Neither of them noticed the small sensor in the corner of the sphere beginning to glow green. So what do we do now? Hana asked. I don't know. I've never done this before. Done what? Taemin took a breath. Told someone that I think about them constantly. That I look for them in every room I enter. That I bring them tea because I want to see them smile, not because I'm observing a biological phenomenon. Hana laughed. It was a real laugh. Surprised and happy. That's a lot more words than I expected from you. I've been practicing. In my head. For about 3 days now. They stood there in the starlight, closer than they had ever been before. The sphere hummed quietly around them, its systems monitoring their emotional states. The door's probably not going to open yet, Hana said. We haven't reached emotional equilibrium. Then we have time, Taemin said. Time for what? To talk. To figure this out. To stop running away from whatever this is. He reached out and took her hand. His fingers were warm. If you want to. Hana squeezed his hand back. I want to. Outside the sphere, the station's night cycle continued. Ships came and went. Aliens went about their business. And somewhere in Research Section 7, 2 humans finally began the conversation they should have had days ago. The green light on the sensor grew slightly brighter. By the second day in the sphere, Taemin and Hana had fallen into a comfortable rhythm. They talked. They ate the surprisingly good food from the automated kitchen. They slept on opposite sides of the large bed, maintaining a respectful distance that somehow felt more intimate than closeness would have. And they talked some more. "Tell me something nobody knows about you," Hana said. They were sitting on the floor, their backs against the curved wall, watching a distant nebula glow purple and gold. "Nobody at all?" "Nobody on this station," Taemin thought for a moment. "When I was 12, I cried for 3 hours because I accidentally stepped on a beetle. My mother had to explain that insects don't have feelings the way humans do. I didn't believe her for years." Hana smiled. "That's adorable. It's embarrassing. It's adorable because it's embarrassing." She pulled her knees up to her chest. "When I was 15, I memorized the greeting customs of 47 alien species, because I had a dream about meeting aliens and embarrassing all of humanity by waving wrong. That's not embarrassing. That's impressive. The embarrassing part is that I still remember all of them. And I practice them in the mirror sometimes. Just in case." End quote. End quote. Taemin laughed. It was a good laugh. Warm and real. Hana realized she wanted to hear it again. What neither of them knew was that their conversation was being broadcast. Liz had set up an audio feed from the sphere to a small conference room in the science section. She had intended to monitor their progress privately. But word had spread. Now the room was filled with alien researchers, diplomats, and curious station workers, all listening to two humans navigate their feelings in real time. "This is fascinating," a Morvian psychologist whispered. "The way they circle around direct statements. They're clearly expressing affection, but through stories and shared vulnerability, rather than explicit declaration. The male just admitted to emotional distress over an insect," a Kelari observed. "In my culture, this would be seen as weakness, but the female responded with warmth. She sees it as endearing. Humans are strange creatures," someone else said, but there was no judgment in their voice, only wonder. Inside the sphere, Hana was telling Taemin about her first week on the station. "I was so terrified," she admitted. "All these aliens, all these protocols, all these ways to accidentally insult someone. And everyone kept asking me to explain human behavior. As if I understood it myself." "You seemed so confident," Taemin said. "I remember watching you at that first diplomatic dinner. You made a Kalari ambassador laugh. Do you know how hard that is? Their sense of humor is completely different from ours. You were watching me?" "I watch everyone. Professional habit." He paused. "But I watched you more." In the conference room, several aliens exchanged knowing looks. "He just admitted to prolonged, focused attention," the Morvian psychologist noted. "In human terms, this is a significant indicator of romantic interest." "Why does he not simply say he is attracted to her?" a young Valerian asked. Liz, who was sitting in the corner, answered quietly. "Because for humans, the journey to that statement is as important as the statement itself. They build trust through small revelations. Each story, each admission, each moment of vulnerability is a step toward something deeper." The aliens considered this. In most of their cultures, attraction was either felt and acknowledged or felt and suppressed. The idea of a gradual process, of building toward emotional truth through accumulated moments, was new. But as they listened to Taemin and Hana talk, they began to see the beauty in it. "My parents thought I was crazy for coming out here," Hana said. The day cycle had shifted, and soft light now filled the sphere. "They wanted me to stay on Earth, get a safe job, settle down with some nice human man. And instead you're locked in a space bubble with a xenobiologist, talking about feelings." Taemin's voice was dry, but his eyes were warm. "They'd probably approve of you, actually. You're very polite. You have good posture." "I do have good posture." Hana laughed again. She had been laughing a lot over the past 2 days. It felt good. "Why did you really run across that room?" she asked suddenly. "When I triggered the resonator. You said you were terrified. But we barely knew each other then. Why did you care so much?" Taemin was quiet for a long moment. In the conference room, Everyone leaned forward. "I don't know," he said finally. "I just looked at you. And I knew I had to help. It wasn't a decision. It was instinct." He turned to look at her. "Maybe some part of me already knew what it took the rest of me days to figure out. And that you matter to me. That you've mattered to me since the moment I saw you. Even if I didn't understand why." The sphere was very quiet. Outside, stars drifted slowly past. The sensor in the corner was glowing bright green now. "Taemin," Hana said softly. "Yes? I think the door might open soon." "I know. I don't want to leave yet." He reached over and took her hand. "Then we won't." In the conference room, the Morvian psychologist was furiously taking notes. "This is unprecedented. They have achieved what appears to be emotional equilibrium, meaning they could leave. But they are choosing to stay. The confinement has become voluntary. They want more time together," Liz said. "They're not ready for the outside world to interrupt what they're building. But they could build it outside the sphere. It wouldn't be the same. Here, they have no distractions, no duties, no expectations, just each other." Liz's feathers shifted to a soft pink, an emotion she couldn't quite name. Maybe that's what humans need sometimes. A space apart from everything else, where they can just be together. The aliens watched and listened for another hour. They heard Taemin describe his dreams of discovering a new form of life. They heard Hana talk about her sister, Ji-woo, who piloted shuttles and called her every week to make sure she was eating properly. They heard small jokes and comfortable silences, and the quiet sound of two people falling into something neither had expected. Finally, the station commander, a human named Dong-hyun, pushed his way into the crowded conference room. "What is going on here?" he demanded. "I've been looking for these two for hours. Someone finally told me they were in Research Section 7, and now I find half the station listening to their private conversation." "Commander," Liz stepped forward, her feathers shifting to nervous yellow. "I can explain. You'd better. Because from where I'm standing, this looks like kidnapping." Liz took a breath. She had known this moment would come. She had prepared for it. "Commander Dong-hyun," she said formally. "I take full responsibility. But before you act, I ask you to listen to what we have all heard today. These two humans have shown us something remarkable. Something about your species that we did not understand before." Dong-hyun looked around the room. He saw aliens of a dozen different species, all watching him with something like awe. "And what would that be?" he asked. It was the Morvian psychologist who answered. "Humans do not bond the way we thought. You do not simply feel and acknowledge. You choose. Every story shared, every moment of vulnerability, every small act of kindness is a choice. Your bonds are built, not found." Another voice spoke up. "And these bonds are strong because they are chosen. Not once, but repeatedly, continuously. Your relationships require constant investment, constant renewal." Dong-hyun's expression softened slightly. "That's just how humans work. I didn't realize it was remarkable." "It is remarkable," Liz said, quietly. "And I wanted to show everyone. Perhaps my methods were wrong, but the lesson was important." Dong-hyun sighed. He looked at the screen showing Taemin and Hana, still sitting together, still talking, still building something neither could name. They don't even know they're being broadcast, do they? "The audio feed was supposed to be private," Liz admitted. "I did not expect so many to want to listen. Turn it off. Give them their privacy." Dong-hyun rubbed his forehead. "And someone tell me how we're going to explain this to the Galactic Council." But as Liz moved to disable the feed, she noticed something. The sensor in the sphere was no longer just green. It was pulsing. The door was unlocked. Taemin and Hana could leave whenever they wanted. They weren't leaving. The commander noticed too. "Are they waiting for something?" Liz smiled. "No. They're just not finished yet." And somehow, everyone in the room understood exactly what that meant. They emerged from the sphere on the morning of the third day. Not because they had to, not because someone made them. They simply decided, together, that it was time. The door opened without resistance. Taemin stepped out first, then turned to offer Hana his hand. She took it. They walked into the corridor together. Blinking in the brighter light of the station, Commander Dong-hyun was waiting for them, along with what appeared to be half the station's population. "Well," he said, looking at their joined hands, "I see Liss's experiment was successful. Liss locked us in a research pod for 3 days," Taemin said mildly. "That's not exactly ethical science." "No, it's not." Dong-hyun sighed. "But before we discuss consequences, there's someone who wants to talk to you." Liss stepped forward from the crowd. Her feathers were shifting through a complicated pattern of colors. Fear, hope, guilt, curiosity, all mixing together. "I am sorry," she said. Her voice was small. "I thought I understood what you needed." Hana looked at the young Valarian for a long moment. Then, she let go of Taemin's hand and walked over to her. "What you did was wrong," Hana said. "You locked us up without our consent. You recorded our private conversations and broadcast them to strangers. You treated us like research subjects instead of people." Liss's feathers went pale. "I know. I am sorry. But," Hana continued, "you weren't entirely wrong about us. We were avoiding something obvious. We might have avoided it for months if you hadn't forced us to stop and actually talk to each other." Taemin joined them. "Your method was terrible. But your observation was accurate. And that's what science is about, isn't it? Making accurate observations?" Liss looked up at them with wide eyes. "You are not angry?" "We're angry," Hana said. "But we're also grateful. Humans can hold both feelings at the same time. It's one of our more confusing features." The crowd around them murmured. This was new information. Holding two contradictory emotions simultaneously was rare among most species. Dong-hyun cleared his throat. "There's still the matter of the diplomatic incident. The Valerian embassy has defended Liss's actions as scientifically motivated. Some members of the Galactic Council disagree strongly." "What do they want?" Taemin asked. "They want to establish new protocols, rules about how humans can be included in interspecies research. Proper consent requirements. Cultural context guidelines." Dong-hyun looked at them both. "They want you two to help write them." Hana and Taemin exchanged a glance. Communication without words. The kind that came from spending 3 days doing nothing but talking. "We can do that," Hana said. "Good. Because there's also a shuttle arriving in 2 hours, with someone who apparently has strong opinions about this whole situation." Hana's eyes went wide. "Please tell me. It's not my sister. Shuttle pilot Jiwoo. Arriving from Earth Station 5. She received word about your situation and immediately requested emergency family leave. 1. 2-half. On their people 2-half. Oh no. Jiwoo arrived like a small angry storm. She was shorter than Hana, but somehow seemed larger, her presence filling the docking bay as she strode toward her sister. 3 days, Jiwoo said. You were locked in a cage for 3 days, and you didn't tell me? The situation was complicated. The situation was my little sister being held hostage by an alien teenager, and I had to hear about it from a Kalari cargo hauler who thought it was romantic. It wasn't exactly hostage, more like forced romantic intervention. Jiwoo stopped. She looked at Hana. She looked at Taemin, who was standing slightly behind Hana, as if hoping to avoid notice. Is this him? Jiwoo asked. This is Taemin. He's a xenobiologist. He's very smart and very nice, and please don't yell at him. Jiwoo walked over to Taemin and looked him up and down. He was significantly taller than her, but somehow she made him feel small. You ran across a crowded room when my sister was in trouble, Jiwoo said, before you even knew her. Why? Taemin considered several possible answers. The scientific explanation about human protective instincts, the diplomatic answer about professional concern for a colleague, the safe response that would avoid any complicated implications. He rejected all of them. Because she mattered, he said simply. I didn't know why yet, but she mattered. Jiwoo stared at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. Good answer. She turned to Hana. He can stay. I wasn't asking permission. I know, but I'm giving it anyway. The sisters hugged. Taemin watched, feeling like he was witnessing something important. Human family bonds. Another thing the aliens studied, but rarely understood. Over the next few weeks, things settled into a new normal. Taemin and Hana worked on the new research protocols together. They attended meetings, wrote documents, and explained human emotional complexity to aliens who were genuinely trying to understand. Liz was assigned to work with them as part of her disciplinary education. Her punishment was not imprisonment or exile, but something more meaningful. She had to learn about human culture from actual humans. To understand why what she did was wrong, she struggled with it. Human concepts of consent and privacy were strange to her, coming from a telepathic species where most thoughts were shared freely. But she tried, and Taemin and Hana helped her. I still do not understand, Liz said one day, 3 months after the incident. You have built something beautiful together. If I had not locked you in that sphere, would you have built it anyway? Are you? 2. Hana and Taemin were sitting in the observation deck, watching the stars. They did this often now. It had become their place. Maybe, Hana said. Eventually. Humans are stubborn. We take our time, but Liz's interference didn't create what we have. Taemin added. It just cleared away the obstacles that were stopping us from seeing it. So I did help? You made us stop running, Hana said. But what we built after that was ours. It came from our choices, our conversations, our moments together. You gave us the opportunity. We made the decision. Liz considered this. Her data pad was in her hands as always, but she wasn't taking notes anymore. She was just listening. Voluntary affection bonding, she said slowly. That is what I titled my research paper. The choice to connect. The ongoing decision to stay together. Is that paper still being published? Taemin asked. It is required reading now. In 12 species educational systems. Liz's feathers shifted to embarrassed orange. I am simultaneously famous and infamous. Welcome to human-style attention, Hana laughed. We invented that combination. Later that evening, when Liz had left and the observation deck was quiet, Hana leaned her head on Taemin's shoulder. The stars drifted past, endless and beautiful. Do you think we would have figured it out? She asked. Without the sphere? I think so. Eventually, humans always do. But it might have taken longer. Probably. Taemin put his arm around her. Does it matter? We're here now. No. I suppose it doesn't. They sat in comfortable silence. Through the transparent walls, they could see the station going about its business. Aliens of dozens of species, all working and living together. And somewhere among them, a young Valerian was finally beginning to understand why humans were so fascinating. Liz asked me something yesterday, Hana said. She asked if all humans bond the way we did. Slowly, but certainly, she said. What did you tell her? I told her that every human bond is different. Some happen fast, some take years. But the ones that last are built on choice. On deciding, every day, that this person matters. Taemin pulled her a little closer. I like that answer. It's what I believe. Hana looked up at him. Her cheeks were slightly pink. After all these months, she still blushed sometimes. She had stopped being embarrassed about it. Do you still find my blushing scientifically interesting? Extremely, Taemin said seriously. I plan to study it for the rest of my life. Hana smiled. It was the kind of smile that came from somewhere deep. From knowing that she was exactly where she wanted to be. With exactly who she wanted to be with. Good, she said. because I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. Somewhere in the station's database, Liss's paper continued to be downloaded and discussed. Its final line had become famous across the galaxy, quoted in diplomatic speeches and scientific journals alike. Humanity's greatest strength isn't their technology, their adaptability, or even their stubbornness. It's their ability to choose connection in a universe that runs on necessity. But for Taemin and Hana, sitting together in the starlight, the philosophy didn't matter. What mattered was this moment, and the next one, and all the moments they would choose to share together. The universe was vast and strange and full of wonders, but sometimes the greatest wonder was finding someone who made you want to stay, and choosing, every day, to stay with them.